Most people know SolidProfessor for our massive library of self-paced online courses in CAD software and engineering concepts. Whether you want to learn something about design, analysis, manufacturing, or one of the many roles and responsibilities in between, there's a very good chance we have you covered with one of our more than 5,000 lessons. And this is true whether you're an absolute beginner or a decorated veteran of design and engineering. Our learning curriculum has been created with all experience levels in mind, so you can learn about the very basics of sketching or strategies for setting up dynamic simulations in the very same place. But whether you or your team have already been using SolidProfessor for years, or if you're currently considering us as a resource for professional development and troubleshooting, or even if you've never heard of us before, it's worth taking a few minutes to get a better understanding of everything you can do at SolidProfessor beyond just browsing the course library. Because while these expertly curated courses are the bread and butter of what we have to offer, tools like the Skills Analyzer, Learning Paths, custom lesson plans and reports, and the SolidProfessor add-in for SolidWorks make the learning process simple and intuitive, whether you're an individual or a team manager. Before we get started, I'd like to mention that SolidProfessor partners with a network of SolidWorks resellers worldwide. And as a result, many SolidWorks users have access to SolidProfessor automatically. However, we've noticed that many users don't realize this, so if you'd like to check and see if you already have access, reach out to support@solidprofessor.com and we'll be in touch. For those of you who already have access, you can expect to find some new and useful tools to add to your learning, or, if you're a manager, to manage the development of your team more effectively. If you're considering SolidProfessor for the first time, this should answer most, if not all, of the questions you might have regarding how SolidProfessor works, what it can do for you and your business, and why over 20,000 companies across the world trust SolidProfessor to help them design with confidence. Welcome to the SolidProfessor Platform Tour. Now there's a lot to talk about on the SolidProfessor platform, so we've broken this video into sections to make it easier to navigate. You can use these timestamps to skip ahead in the video if you'd like, but especially for those of you that aren't familiar with SolidProfessor, we'd encourage you to watch the entire thing. We'll start off with an overview of the course library, which is of course the centerpiece of the SolidProfessor learning experience, and then we'll take a look at the Skills Analyzer, which can help you identify any shortcomings you might have in your skill set and suggest some courses for you to start with. From there, we'll take a look at the dashboard, which is the main landing page you'll see after you log in, and this is essentially the hub from which all other SolidProfessor tools and resources can be easily accessed. Then we'll introduce admin tools, which offer some very powerful capabilities for team managers or instructors to create custom lesson plans and monitor the progress of their teams or students. Finally, we'll cover the SolidProfessor add-in for SolidWorks, which provides access to all 5,000 plus SolidProfessor lessons inside the SolidWorks Task Pane, along with a few other useful tools worth noting. With that, let's kick things off by taking a closer look at the SolidProfessor course library. The course library is what makes SolidProfessor SolidProfessor. Simply scrolling through the library landing page reveals how many different CAD platforms we support. So whether you're using SolidWorks or Inventor or AutoCAD, or even a combination of multiple programs, you can expect that we'll have training available for you and your team. We also support multiple versions for most programs, so you don't have to worry about workflows using features that you don't have access to, or even worse, trying to adapt old training to new software. SolidWorks is one of our most popular CAD platforms, and as you can see, there are dozens of courses available covering a wide variety of industries. These include introductory courses for brand new users, intermediate industry-specific courses like sheet metal and weldments, and expert-level material like servicing for industrial design and advanced simulation. All of our courses are written by experienced subject matter experts, and some are specifically designed to prepare users to earn industry certifications such as the Certified SolidWorks Associate or CSWA. These courses feature walkthroughs and even practice exams that are modeled after the official exam, so you'll be as prepared as possible. And speaking of certifications, SolidProfessor also provides vouchers to cover the cost of SolidWorks certification exams, so no extra out-of-pocket surprises. We also understand that schedules get busy, and it can be difficult to commit to live training courses that are days or sometimes even weeks long. So to make learning more convenient and more effective for our users, SolidProfessor courses are constructed from a series of short videos that you can watch at your own pace and replay as many times as you'd like. Whether that means squeezing in one lesson per day or binge watching an entire course, this self-paced format allows you to adapt your learning to your schedule and prevents you from falling behind. And if you're a team manager, this means you can schedule your team's training between other important tasks. Many SolidProfessor courses also offer downloadable course files along with practice exercises and knowledge checks, offering a hands-on learning approach and ensuring that you've retained the information. Technical certificates can also be earned for most courses to represent successful training. If you're already an experienced user and you don't need to take a full-length course yet, you can still find plenty of reasons to use SolidProfessor. Many users search for individual subjects directly to troubleshoot common design issues or for a quick refresher if they're working with design tools they haven't used in a while. And if you ever find a lesson particularly useful and you want to be able to easily return to it later, you can always bookmark it to make it accessible from the dashboard. It's also important to note that while SolidProfessor does focus primarily on the best practices and applications of design software, we also offer courses on engineering concepts like graphics and spatial visualization, along with geometric dimensioning and tolerancing, or GD&T, finite element analysis, and even design for manufacturing. And these are extremely important concepts that are often missed by training programs that focus on specific CAD packages. Finally, SolidProfessor also provides pre-built learning paths, which combine multiple courses to achieve a specific learning goal. For example, becoming a certified SolidWorks professional or becoming an expert in SolidWorks simulation. Learning paths start off with basic concepts like finite element analysis and gradually become more and more advanced, eventually leading to the most advanced subjects such as nonlinear analysis and computational fluid dynamics. Learning paths can be a great tool to keep you on track and ensure that you're learning what you need to learn at the right time. And they can also be very effective for onboarding new hires if you're a team manager. Custom lesson plans can also be created if needed, but we'll be discussing that in greater detail a bit later in this video. Now, for most of you, the SolidProfessor library will have everything you need to learn and more, whether you're a beginner looking to learn the basics or a career designer looking for information on niche expert subjects. But with over 5,000 lessons, it can be difficult to determine where to begin. And this is why one of the first things we recommend for all of our users is the Skills Analyzer. I'd like to start by pointing out that this tool is available even if you don't have a SolidProfessor account yet. You can go to the front page right now, and without even logging in, you can use the Test My Skills button to put your SolidWorks skills to the test. We have a variety of tests available for different experience levels, so even if you're already a SolidWorks expert, you can still use this tool. And I bet you'll be surprised by what you find. After completing a short multiple choice quiz, your results will be evaluated, and more importantly, lesson recommendations will be made based on any questions that were missed. You can review the questions you got right, along with the questions answered incorrectly, and use this information to determine which lessons you need to focus on and which ones are safe for you to skip. The Skills Analyzer is an excellent tool for determining where to start and preventing you from wasting time relearning techniques and concepts you're already familiar with. And this goes for those of you managing teams as well. The Test My Team option allows you to evaluate multiple team members at the same time and identify each individual's skill gaps. Results are reported for the team in dashboard format, where you can see all results side by side. You can then tailor training for each team member and prioritize their learning accordingly by skipping unnecessary lessons and focusing on the most important critical concepts with custom-built training plans that are based on SolidProfessor's course recommendations. The Skills Analyzer is great for baselining your team's design and engineering capabilities and bringing newer team members up to speed. And since it doesn't require an account to use, you can even use it to assess the abilities of potential hires. Now, while the Skills Analyzer is the most logical first step to using SolidProfessor successfully, and the course library contains most of the important learning material, most of your day-to-day activities will likely take place on the home page as soon as you log in. So next up, let's take a quick look at how to use the SolidProfessor Dashboard. The dashboard is the navigation hub for quickly accessing everything SolidProfessor has to offer. This is the main page that appears as soon as you log in, and right off the bat, you can pick up where you left off on a previous lesson to get right back into learning, or check out some common things to do like taking the skills analyzer test, working on any lessons that have been assigned to you, or reviewing the technical certificates you've earned by completing courses. You can even print these certificates or share them on LinkedIn if you'd like. Speaking of sharing your achievements, the big notification in blue at the top right of the dashboard will let you get started on building your SolidProfessor Portfolio, where you can provide an overview of your experience and catalog both personal and professional design projects with descriptions and pictures. You can also provide a biography and document any certifications you've earned, along with any skills to highlight your areas of expertise, and this entire portfolio can then be shared publicly with a simple link. The SolidProfessor Portfolio is a great tool for individuals to document their work and can be very useful for team managers looking for the perfect candidate as well. Scrolling down on the dashboard, you'll find a section for the latest SolidProfessor releases so you always know what's new on the platform. If you're already an experienced user, this is a great way to stay current with software updates and get your usual dose of tips and tricks. In addition to new course releases every year, we have several series like 2-Minute Tech Tips and Ask SolidProfessor that are updated with new lessons on a weekly basis. So check this section regularly for new videos. Depending on your account settings, you may also notice a heart icon with notifications just above the Help button. Clicking this icon will open the SolidProfessor Success Center, which highlights our most recent announcements along with our latest content, including new courses, tech tips, SolidWorks updates, and more. The Success Center is your one-stop shop to make sure you don't miss anything important and to catch up on anything you may have missed, so be sure to check it out. Likewise, you can find the latest industry news on the right side of the dashboard, featuring articles covering mechanical engineering, education, employment, and everything in between. Additionally, there's a resources tab here which can be used to access the knowledge base, where you can find how-to articles addressing some of our most common questions. Finally, at the very bottom of the dashboard, you'll find another link to the learning paths we discussed earlier, along with a section listing all bookmarked lessons and a tab with a history of recently viewed lessons for quick access. At the top of the dashboard, you'll find a ribbon of tools, and this ribbon will follow you regardless of which page you navigate to. Both the SolidProfessor logo and the dashboard link will return you to this home page if you ever find yourself lost. The library dropdown can be used to display all our supported programs and subjects and their associated courses, and clicking the View All button will take you to the main page of the library. The search bar is extremely useful, especially for those of you using the platform for troubleshooting, refreshing your memory, or single subject learning. Just type what you want to learn about into the search bar and the results will display related lessons and courses. You can select from these results directly or click the magnifying glass icon to view more details on each of the search results if preferred. The Groups button allows you to access any groups that you're a member of. Groups are typically created by team managers or admins, and they contain assignments which are essentially collections of courses, lessons, quizzes, and other learning materials. As a team member, you can use the Join a Group button to browse for any groups that are publicly available to you, and as a team manager, you can create new groups and add members to them. More on that later. Once you've joined or been added to a group, clicking it will show the included assignments along with how many lessons have been completed and the overall status of the assignment. Clicking on an assignment will in turn show the individual lessons that need to be watched, quizzes that need to be completed, and associated files that can be downloaded. Groups are an extremely powerful and effective way to organize learning. If you're a team member, this means you don't have to worry about remembering what you were working on or figuring out what to do next. It's all right here. And if you're a team manager, it means you have full control over who is learning what and how professional development is being prioritized throughout your team and your organization. Last in this ribbon, we have another link to the SolidProfessor Portfolio, along with a profile icon where you can access and modify the details of your profile, visit the knowledge base, or log out. Now, if you're a team member, this covers just about everything you'll see on the SolidProfessor dashboard. But if you're a team manager, or if you have administrative privileges, there are a few other functions you'll have access to that are worth mentioning. And this is going to bring us to Admin Tools. Admin Tools is a collection of functions, some of which appear on the dashboard and some of which are built into other sections of the SolidProfessor platform. But essentially, they allow team managers to manage their teams by providing the ability to build groups, create lesson plans, produce reports, and more. Organizations use these tools for a variety of purposes, including performance reviews, tracking team progress throughout assignments, and identifying common areas of difficulty within a team to focus on. Custom assignments in particular also allow leadership to develop training plans that are tailor-made for specific groups or departments so that their professional development time is used as effectively as possible while staying in line with their job responsibilities. You'll notice a new section on the dashboard labeled Admin Resources containing shortcuts to admin tools, practice exercises, and the Create Group function. Admin tools provide everything needed to add, remove, and review team members. You can check their test history and results, and even see which lessons they've recently viewed. If preferred, you can simply click the user's name and then select View Learner History for a summary of all this information. You can also see the groups a given user is enrolled in, or choose a group from the left-hand side of the interface and add a learner to it. This area is by far the most administrative of the admin tools, and it does exactly what you'd expect it to do. The Practice Exercises link provides supporting documentation for the practice exercises offered throughout the various SolidProfessor courses. These include answer keys, completed versions of practice exercises, and walkthrough videos for instructors and team managers to use as they see fit, whether that be sharing the solutions with their team directly, preparing for a live group training session, or something else. As we mentioned earlier, groups are a very powerful and effective way to organize learning, and the Create Group function allows you to build a new group by using an existing lesson plan provided by SolidProfessor, start a new lesson plan from scratch by combining lessons from different courses, or start by making a copy of an existing group if you already have one. Entire courses and individual lessons can be added, removed, and reordered as needed along with their quizzes and practice exercises, allowing you to design the perfect curriculum for your team members based on the work they'll be doing. Assignments can also be given due dates to prioritize specific learning material and keep progress on track. If you choose to publish a group, it will become visible to the rest of your organization, and optionally you can include a group code, which is effectively a password they'll need in order to join the group. Implementing training programs through the use of custom groups and robust lesson plans is one of the most impactful ways to use SolidProfessor within an organization, and it should be one of the first things you do as a team manager or an administrator. Finally, a reporting tab also appears in the ribbon of tools at the top of the dashboard when logged in as a team manager or an administrator. This section allows you to see the total number of lesson views and tests taken across all users within your company, along with the top 5 users in terms of lesson views or average test scores, and the specific courses or lessons that are most popular within your company. Drilling down even further, this section can be a useful tool for tracking the progress and performance of individual learners within groups as well. Together, the admin tools give team leaders and administrators full control over the curriculum and assignments their teams will follow. This ensures that the right tools and techniques are presented at the right time and that team members are progressing as expected. If there's one thing we appreciate here at SolidProfessor, it's making learning easier. And what better way to do that than by allowing you to access the full wealth of SolidProfessor knowledge without ever leaving your CAD program. That's exactly what we've done with the SolidProfessor add-in for SolidWorks. This can be downloaded from the dashboard and installed in just a few clicks. And the next time you boot up SolidWorks, you'll find a new Task Pane tab containing the full lesson library of SolidProfessor. No need to switch back and forth between tabs or monitors, it's all built in right here. Consider using the SolidProfessor add-in to quickly search for subjects when you need to troubleshoot, or if you need a refresher for a subject you're already familiar with. It's great to have on hand, and when you don't need it, you can always just close the tab for extra screen space. SolidProfessor provides a vast and diverse library of courses and lessons for designers and engineers of all experience levels, along with a robust set of tools for assessing skill gaps, designing lesson plans, and assessing performance to ensure successful learning. Whether you're using SolidWorks, AutoCAD, Inventor, or a combination of CAD platforms, we have courses to guide the professional development of you and your team. The self-paced lesson format used by our courses allows you or your team members or students to learn as time allows without interrupting other important tasks. And since you're able to revisit any lesson at any time, you never have to worry about falling behind. You can also search by subject when you need to troubleshoot specific issues or quickly come up to speed with a specific workflow. Downloadable files, practice exercises, and regular knowledge checks help to ensure you retain the material as you work through the curriculum, and we offer several courses designed specifically to prepare you to take industry certification exams. Not to mention, SolidProfessor provides vouchers to cover the cost of these exams as well. If you're unsure where to start or you'd like to see which subjects you could use some practice in, consider using the Skills Analyzer to take a short quiz and receive lesson recommendations based on your results. If you're a team manager or an administrator, SolidProfessor offers a powerful set of admin tools for creating groups, designing custom lesson plans, and reviewing the performance and participation of team members through reports. These tools allow you to keep progress on track and ensure that your various teams are receiving the most effective and relevant training possible. Finally, SolidProfessor offers a number of additional tools to support continuing education, including regular weekly updates to our ongoing 2-minute tech tips and Ask SolidProfessor series, the SolidProfessor Portfolio to showcase your projects, and of course the SolidProfessor add-in that brings our 5,000 plus lessons into the SolidWorks Task Pane and right at your fingertips. Thanks for taking a tour of SolidProfessor with us today, and if you have any questions, of course, please let us know and we'll be happy to help. Until then, thanks for watching, and see you soon.